There are only two certainties in this life: death and Disastery Channel. Fortunately, some dunderheads choose to depart this life in ways that are as astounding as they are amusing. So sit down, strap in, and suck on a cold one, as Disastery Channel brings you 6 of the most diabolical deaths of all time, a Disastery special edition dedicated to the delightful Darwin Awards, with a dash of Disastery humour, of course. But first, a little history. The Darwin Awards, now deceased, were once a most prestigious and coveted award issued throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, and awarded to those who gave their lives so that we might all be greatly entertained. The awards once originated in the obscurity of the primordial slime pit of Usenet in the mid-80s. Usenet was historically the dominion of nerds and sexual deviants, but later expanded to include a wide range of utilities, from trash-talking about Hollywood smut to the sale of all kinds of knickknacks and paddywhacks. The Darwin Awards project became more formalized upon the creation of a website in 1993, and was followed by a series of books written by visionary author Wendy Northcutt, starting in the year 2000. Historically, Darwin Awards were bestowed upon persons who made the supreme sacrifice of removing their DNA from the gene pool for the benefit of all humanity. Naturally, awards were typically granted posthumously. Now, not any Tom, Dick, Harry, Blind Freddy, or Jimmy Struthers was able to earn himself a coveted Darwin Award. Winning submissions had to meet the following strict and immutable criteria: veracity. Submissions had to be verifiably true, or at least entertaining enough to warrant that the general public suspend their disbelief. Fatality and/or sterility. The subject of the submission must have rendered himself dead, sterile, or both, thus completely eliminating any chance of a further contribution to the human gene pool. Maturity. The subject had to at least possess the general capability of exercising sound judgment. Note that submissions that involved the abuse of alcohol and other judgment-impairing substances were not only not excluded, but were actually actively encouraged. In fact, the Darwin Awards were informally known as the Here Hold My Beer Awards on the Australian subcontinent. Self-selectivity. Acts of Darwinism had to be committed voluntarily. So in other words, the applicant had to have jumped rather than have been pushed. Stupidity. Submissions had to exhibit a minimum level of spectacular stupidity to be considered. Finally, submissions could be disqualified if they violated the innocent bystander rule. Submissions were voided if they involved the deaths of any innocents, as these people may have hypothetically contributed positively to the gene pool, and this was generally considered not cool, bro. But now, without any further arguing, Jews, Disastery presents the best, worst Darwin Awards of all time. Polish farmer loses his head. In 1995, Polish farmer Krzysztof Asninski won a Darwin Award for cutting off his own head. 30-year-old Asninski had been drinking vodka with friends when it was suggested they strip naked and play some man's games. Initially, the friends competed for virility by beating each other over the head repeatedly with frozen turnips, but no clear victor emerged. It was then that one man took things to the next level by sawing off the end of his foot with a nearby chainsaw. Asninski, not to be outdone by his comrade, grabbed the chainsaw and cried, "Niet, hold mine vodka," before swinging the chainsaw at his own head. Asninski died instantly. The veracity of this story has been disputed, with one witness reportedly refuting this account of events, saying, "Krzysztof Polish farmer, chainsaw he cannot afford. Krzysztof use axe." Another one of his drinking companions reportedly said, "Funny think, when Krzysztof boy he put on sister's underwear, but end of day, he die like man. Return to sender life ender." In 2000, in Iraq, lonely incel and wannabe jihadist Kai Wada Rimjob Ranajet decided to get into a bit of a jihad, mate, and sent a letter bomb to some white dude he didn't really like. Ranajet packed enough explosives into the package to show his victim the real meaning of a bad day in Baghdad. Unfortunately for Ranajet, he was too much of a tight ass to pay the appropriate postage on the package, and his parcel was eventually returned to sender. While Ranajet might have been too stingy to shell out for stamps, he did still remember to write his home address on the return to sender label, and the package was summarily shipped back to his front door. The lonely Ranajet, who had just returned from masturbating in his father's woodshed, was so happy to receive any kind of post from anyone that when he saw the package on the doorstep, he immediately ripped it open without thinking. The consignment killed him instantly, as well as his fledgling career as a fundamentalist jihadist terrorist before it began. Drunk off his arse, the enema within. Our next Darwin Award winner took getting shit-faced to a whole new level. In 2004, 58-year-old Texas man Michael Warner perished after consuming an astonishing amount of alcohol. Unlike most avid alkies, who like to slam their liquor the old-fashioned way, Warner adored ingesting his alcohol up his anus. His wife said he was addicted to alcohol enemas and often used alcohol in this manner. While the result is the same, inebriation, alcohol absorbs more quickly through the capillary beds of the rectum, which is probably why Warner preferred to shoot his juice up his pooper. On this particularly fateful day, little Michael Warner sat in the corner and then proceeded to pump more than 3 litres, which is more than 100 fluid ounces, of cheap sherry straight into his alcoholic arse cavity. This turned out to be a lethal dose, and when paramedics found him, his blood alcohol level was a staggering 0.47%, which gives a whole new meaning to the expression, bottoms up. Mind-blowing chemistry experiment. In 2009, a 25-year-old chemistry student, Yurik, blowing my head off from the Kiev Polytechnic Institute in Ukraine, had acquired the aberrant habit of dipping his chewing gum into citric acid crystals while he worked, presumably to give his gum a little bit more of a pop. The idiotic incident occurred while the student was studying at his parents' house in the city of Konotop in northern Ukraine. As was his habit, he dunked his gum before sticking it back into his yap. Those nearby when the incident occurred reportedly heard a loud pop sound before bursting into the bedroom to find the chemist cactus with the lower part of his face missing. Police also found packs of citric acid, as well as packets of a similar-looking unidentified explosive material, and believe that the student simply confused the two compounds. His friends and family were devastated by the tragedy, but some said that they had a feeling that his career was about to blow up. Gotta love a lava lamp. In November 2004, 24-year-old Philip Quinn was found dead in the bedroom of his trailer home in Kent, Washington. Puzzled investigators eventually pieced together what happened during Quinn's final moments. Quinn had just purchased a brand new, shiny, pulsating lava lamp to brighten up his dimly lit shitbox trailer. Quinn plugged it in and then waited for the pretty globs to begin their groovy psychedelic dance for his own sad satisfaction. But after several frustrating minutes, nothing happened. Quinn was then struck by a bolt of inspiration. Why not accelerate this painfully slow process? Quinn took the lava lamp to the kitchen, placed it on the stove and cranked up the heat. Soon enough, the wax melted and began its slow, sinuous dance. But the liquid, designed to be warmed slowly by a 40-watt bulb, quickly overheated. Enthralled by the display, young Philly Quinn forgot what his high school chemistry teacher had been trying to tell him over all the years, that heat makes stuff expand. When the lava in the lamp could not stand no more, it expanded rather fucking rapidly, fair into Quinn's transfixed face, sending forth shards of lava glass shrapnel with one rather large shard embedding itself deep in his heart. Quinn died quickly, shitting himself on his kitchen floor. No evidence of drugs or alcohol was found. This one was 100% sheer stupidity. Wife flinger falls to fucking fate. In February 1998, an Argentinian man fell to his death after an argument with his amour in a working-class neighborhood in Buenos Aires, Argentina. 25-year-old Pedro Dirty Dog Sanchez, apparently after imbibing muchas cervezas, picked up his wife, Maria La Puta Sanchez Arroz con Carne Bologna Quintero, and tossed her over the balcony rail of their 8th-floor shitbox rat's nest Boedo apartment. Wife tossing is the most popular pastime in Argentina, second only to Argentinian tango, which is where men throw their wives around, albeit slightly more slowly to boring as burrito shit gramophone music. Miraculously, Maria did not die, but ended up entangled in some power lines on her way down to the ground. Pedro immediately leapt from the balcony to pursue his wife, probably in an attempt to administer another heartfelt beating. Unfortunately for poor Pedro, he missed the power lines completely and plunged to his death onto the street below. Maria managed to swing over to a nearby balcony where she was saved by some Mexicans having a piñata party. South American musician-poet Ruben Blades penned the ballad Pedro el Pendejo in honor of the ill-fated star-crossed lovers' quarrel as a reminder to Pedros everywhere, don't be that guy. For the next video, click here and make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and stay disastrous.